Hi, I thought I'd start out by showing you some older almost people that I did. So you can see, look at this one, there's not even a face on it. It's very simplified. This is a copy from a, the guy's last name is Yardley, and he does wonderful work. And we will probably do something like this someday. We're probably getting close to the end of the almost people for now, because we've got 3 more things of them to do. Here's another one. So this has got a lot of collage in it, and I really love watercolor collage. So this is just torn pieces of paper that's moved around. In fact, see, I never even finished that, but I just really like the look of that. It reminds me of a quilt. You know, it does some of the same. In fact, a lot of collage does some of the same kind of things that quilts do that I really like. So this is from something in a National Geographic, of course. Here's one. Again, I never finished it, but you can see this has got some of those fancy papers. You know, this is kind of lacy looking stuff, and you can see the shadows on the legs. They're just really two-tone legs, is all they are. That lacy looking stuff is laid on top of a dark colored dress. That stuff's fun to work with. This one is more collage and more of a different kind of fancy paper, some kind of mulberry stuff or something. Anyway, it's got little flecks in it, and a lot of that's torn out and put on. In fact, this fringe is actually twisted. It's just, one of the things I like about collage is it kind of gets me working a little more creatively, because I'm manipulating things in a different kind of way, moving parts around and looking at them and making decisions that way. And it's just, it just gets that intuitive, creative thing going that I really like to do. And here's one that's just a painting from some character in something. I don't know. But see how simplified she is. You can see features on her face, but just barely. They're very, again, it's just 2 tones, and most of it's pretty light. So that's just some examples. Now, my thinking on these little cowboys. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about first is that when you play around, and you could be playing around with collage, you could play with, you know, cheaper materials if you want. A lot of the time when I collage, I use 140 pound. Cheaper materials. I think I texted some of you. I was talking to somebody today that said she had, Peggy Brady, that said that she had been working in her journal. And when she was working in her journal, I mean, she was doing like just little textural things, you know, and playing with the paint and seeing what it would do, doing little, you know, little hearts and shapes and sayings and stuff, but always accompanied by, you know, watercolor treatments. And what she said was that really helped her loosen up, that she realized when she went back to something more serious that she was working in a looser style, and probably because she had just gotten more comfortable working on something in a setting where it didn't have to be just right. And so she could just kind of loosen up, and it held over as she went into working on something that she was more serious about. So I recommend that too. And if any of y'all have seen Suzanne Sparks' sketchbooks, oh my gosh, they're just such fabulous art. I mean, they're just wonderful in all kinds of ways. Okay, so I've got the little cowboys here. And this is going to be a short lesson because I want you to do it maybe several times. So here's one of the things that I have noticed about myself And I suspect that it holds true with pretty much everybody else. And that is, if you have a drawing like this, and I've used this tracing several times, so it's pretty dark. But if you have a drawing like this, you're kind of locked in. As you paint, you begin to fill in the lines because the lines are so definite. And so it kind of starts you into that place where you're not having that expressiveness that we're looking for in these like little almost people. This little dashed off, simplified humans somewhere. So what I'm going to suggest as a way to, now I certainly recommend that if you want to sit down and draw them, that would be wonderful. But even if you draw them, you need to draw them, well, not with such exacting lines. There may be a few places where you want to get exacting, or like the way these pants are rumpled up because they're too big for the boys. This little guy is just tiny in these great big pants and this oversized belt buckle. And this one's in about the same shape. So I'm saying get the feel of it, you know, the fat legs on the jeans and the big belt buckles and that kind of thing. But don't get caught up in just perfectly outlining it. So I thought one way to get around that would be if I picked a spot, like here's the side of his face. Let's see, does this show up well? Yeah. Here's the side of his face. And maybe I trace down carefully to right there where his shoulder and this little, I don't know, this little part of this shirt design comes off. And then instead of tracing that whole line, I start here kind of dark and then I just do a little lift. I'm doing a little stroke like that. Okay, so I might do it there and I might do it some other places, but I won't finish the whole shape. I might get more picky about the shape around his face and catch his little ear there. I want his little ear showing up. So here I might come off and I might just do some lines that I need. Maybe get a little more picky on the hands. I put his hands kind of crunched up in little fists. That's the way this guy's hands are done. That's the way he's actually walking, like, you know, like that. This one, he's got his fingers pointing out. It's just too fine, too hard to see, and too small to work with. And so I've kind of, you know, turned him into a little prize fighter, I guess. So I'm looking at this. See, I've got like little marks. You see how one line might be continuous and then it might lift and dark and light, so that I'm not starting out with total boundaries everywhere, so that it's okay a little more okay for me to paint outside of it. It's just a way to encourage myself not to just be filling in the lines. Okay, let's see. Whoa, where did I stop? Okay, so I want this area up under the arm, right there. Here's his belt buckle. So a lot of the places that I'm marking are places where you have to stop and change direction. Like here, there's the knee. Down here. See, so that area in there, I didn't touch. See, I've just got little things like that. That'll be compatible with the drawing without overly confining me, which is what I don't want to have happen. I don't like being confined. I love these little shapes in here, so I'm going to get them because I like them. So I'm going to try a little harder there. And this boot, I think I've misshapen it. Okay. See, I'm just doing a stroke that, you know, starts out pressing down and then lifts up. You may have some other ideas for how to get around this. Look, his sleeves. See, their sleeves are... These outfits were probably not that cheap. And so better get something that'll fit for several years. At least that's what I would have done. Okay, let's see. We got to get this hat. There, see? Oh, I didn't put his hand in. I've marked on this so many times I can't begin to tell where I've been. And then, okay, here we want the hat. So you can just see their little chinny chin chins is about all. And there's a mouth there, but you don't really need to show it. Remember, we're simplifying these. And these are actually pretty simplified already, simply because, yeah, the hat's too big for him too, obviously. These are already pretty simplified because they're really very pixelated. There. That gives us something to work with without it being overdone. And I can, if I need to add detail or something in there, no problem. You know, I can make it up and stick it in there any way I want to. And it will still work on this kind of figure. But there, see, that's a nice little drawing. So remember, it's where the line turns and goes a different direction. You want to stop from that and do little lifts. Maybe I'll put right there. As I played with this idea, you know, I became more at home with it. Okay, and this little guy's face is showing, and their faces look so fat and round, and then they have these little tiny chins poking out down there. They're really cute little guys. So Rovain Brown found these for us. Yeah, he's got a lot of growing to do before he fits that belt buckle. This is hilarious. I'm going to make this pants leg stick out here more. Maybe it should have in the first place. I don't know. They look like they think they're going to a rodeo. Okay, let's see. I want something right out here, I think. Yeah, and see, having this where I can flap it and see the results of what I'm doing, I mean, that's a big deal. Now, Charles Reed, yeah, because he just draws on that paper. And when he does that, he comes back with an eraser. Even though he's left some gaps here and there, and he has a fabulous drawing, he comes back with an eraser and kind of breaks through several places so that he's careful that his figure isn't too closed up. So this is not an unusual idea. Okay, here we are again. So we've got them drawn out, and I've got a couple that I've already done. Trying to look for some way to enhance them. The picture's really flat, and I never did decide on anything. I've just got some bits of shadow in there. This is done in a sketchbook. And then this one is on top of some gessoed paper that I gessoed real roughly. And this will wash off of here if I get it wet and rub it a little bit. It'll just all be gone. So it's pretty hard to work on, and well, that's all I've got to say about that. I was just looking for ways to kind of break up the figures and find different ways of doing it. If you did something like this, but you used watercolor ground, I think you would get a little bit better results, but it still would be difficult. Okay. Oh, a brush. Yes. Let's see, a large brush for the job. I have here a Oh dear, no paper towel. Always be prepared. Okay, left my brush in the water too. I have here Quin Rose, because I wanted a little bit deeper color. Quin Rose and some New Gamboge mixed in. And here is some cerulean, and there is some burnt umber, and there's, you know, little bits of stuff still stuck in the plate from before. Okay, let's see what we can do here. So I tell you what, let's just start with the shirt and the jeans. I've got cerulean, and I might use cerulean, but cerulean maybe is just a tiny bit too bright. And it might not be too bright. You might like it like that. I've got just a little bit of burnt umber here that I'm going to pull into the cerulean to gray it down just a tiny bit. Not a lot. Okay, let's see what we get here. Now we want to put lighter tones down first so that we can still get a shadow on top of them without going too dark. So let's see. I think when that dries, that'll be about right. So I am kind of filling in the lines, aren't I? Oh dear, and I covered up his collar on that side. Well, you know, stuff happens. Okay, so let's go on down to the jeans. So by being loose, I'm not necessarily talking about just slopping it up, because loose does not necessarily mean here's the thing. A lot of painters that paint very loose have a lot of practice with it. It's sort of like when you are writing, your handwriting, you've been writing cursive or printing or whatever for years, and so you can dash it off really fast and it looks pretty relaxed. I guarantee you your signature looks pretty relaxed at this point because you've practiced it. So a lot of these look relaxed just because they're practiced. So I might leave, one way to make this a little more loose would be to leave some little twinkles in here somewhere. By the way, these figures look kind of odd by themselves. They need you to decide on a scene to put them in. I'm not doing that. So, okay, we'll go over here to give that a chance to dry. So, and by using a big brush, and I've kind of got it loaded up right now. There are places where I'll have to just load up part of it so it acts like a smaller brush. But see, this is very juicy paint, and my brush is loaded up. And this kind of encourages a little bit of looseness. You know, you could play with the way you work your stroke, but it doesn't mean just do something that just totally screws it up. I mean, it's not that kind of situation. That leg just doesn't look enough bigger here. I'm gonna make it as big as this leg. I don't know if that's my tracing or what. You know, when you follow my tracing, that doesn't mean they're getting perfection. Okay, and these little patches up here, it's the same deal. They're that same blue. Although his shirt is a little different color. It's a little pinker. So, okay, there we go. So we got the beginnings of the little guys. I think I'll suck up some of this color just so it'll dry faster and so it'll be lighter. Too bad I covered up his collar. I'm just going to leave it. So let's see. If I take some of this blue, I'll put it over here with all this other stuff. Oh, that's a decent gray right there. I don't even need to put any brown in it. Look at that. So I might use that on the hats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pale shadow on the white hat, and then I'm going to put a darker shadow on top of part of the pale shadow later. So, Freedom there. Ta-da. So it's a little darker right back up on this part of the hat, and I'm going to soften that edge, but I don't have to work on it and blend it out carefully by any means. I just want it to be not, well, it was darker at that edge to start out with. And so back here, so a little bit. And I'm making this grayer than what it looks like in the picture. You can make it bluer if you want to. You're not stuck with following exactly what I do. Let's put a little thingy there in the hat. Okay, so I'm covering the underside of the hat that's going to have a deeper shadow on it later, along with the light side of the hat. I mean, in other words, one of these shadows will be this color, another shadow will be darker right under these edges. His hat's definitely darker right up in through here, and that makes the hat look like it curves, like it's curled up. It's curled up this way because there's a shadow right up under here. Okay, now those belt buckles are kind of gray too. I've got enough, you know what, I'm going to save that gray for the hat. I'll make a new gray over here. I'm just using a little bit of whatever's down there a lot of the time. Whoops. Ran out of room. Okay, right there. That'll do right there, that stuff. This belt buckle is more in shadow. We might put a little edge on it there. And you know, it's got stuff going on in there, but some kind of design on it. I think I pulled up a little too much paint. Okay. And then this one's a little bit lighter and looks a little bit bluer. It's just reflecting something differently. It's not really different. There. There, make it look like something's happening there. Nah, I don't like that. Okay. Let's suck a little of that up. There. See, I didn't even have to wipe the brush off to suck that up. It's pretty easy. Okay, well, we'll go back to, we'll go to skin. So right here, okay, here's a new plate. I'm going to take my rose and my new gamboge. I'll just take some of it and put right over here. And I get a little snippet of that blue. The blue murky stuff now. It used to be blue. Put that in there. Okay. I think that's going to make skin because the faces here are really dark. Got to get that little ear there. And that little bump of a chin. And you know, with a brush like this, at times when you touch it down, you'll have extra run off the brush, like right there. See, like that? And sometimes that's just a nice little gift there. You know, one of those, what's that word they used to use? Serendipity. That's part of your loose look, actually. So, these aren't dry enough yet. Let's go ahead and put some stripes in the shirts. Here we go. Here's some blue. You could pick up a different blue. You can, you know, you can play with this any way you want to. I'm really kind of doing it on the quick. You know, we've got little wrinkles in here. If I study it, I can find some. Okay, right here. I don't know why I'm doing this first, because these are more like shadows. I just did. I'm making a line up the middle where his buttons go on that piece of stitching. Well, now that I did that, I have to wait on it to dry. Let's see, what have I got over here? Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of Queen Burnt Scarlet and a little bit of Cerulean. Oh, that's too muddy. It's not blue enough anyway. Let's put more Cerulean in here. Whew. It's funny, I didn't get anything that looked purple. Okay, let's put a little bit of that other stuff. You know, the other stuff. Queen Rose into this. Well, there. It's got a little bit of purpley glow to it. It's like a gray. He's wearing, actually, he has pink stripes in that shirt, but these are purple stripes. See, they look purple here. See, you could do this part first, too, instead of what I did. So, let's see. And the thing is, let's see, what was the rule about where to put stripes and where not to put stripes? Well, the idea was you don't put them in the shadow and the highlight both. You do one or the other, is what Mel Stabin says. The problem is, there's not any real shadows on this. It's all pretty near the same. Well, let's break it up a little bit. Let's just smudge it a little. See that? There's the thing. Okay. So we don't have, we have stripes instead of, I guess you could call that plaid or checkers or something. But we're going to turn it into plaid here in a minute. Oh, let's see. Is this the color? Where did I just have? Oh, it's over here. I need a little bit up under here too. Okay, we're going to leave that. That's still too wet. Oh, let's do the hands. I didn't get the hands done yet. Same mixture as the face. Oh, that was over here. No, I had it over here. Yeah, well. You know, just a little bit of color. Whoa, he's bleeding on his shirt. Well, I don't want that to be too dark. But here's the thing. I'll just come back with this. Pull a little color up. Actually, I don't care if he bled on his shirt. Well, there, I pulled some of it up anyway. Don't want to pull up too much. All right. So, this is still moist, but what I can do is come back with the brown and put the belt and the shoes in. And again, I don't want to get boots, not shoes, boots. I'm making this, his boots are reddish brown. You might want to get the color just right. Just put a little red in your brown if you want to do that. Oh, I don't have this shape right. There's more to the boot than that. And over here, all we got is a little spot there, like that. You know, okay. Belts. Can't have a belt buckle without a belt. Wouldn't be kosher. Okay. So, that's our, oh, here. So we've done nothing really loose. Let's just pick up some gray mush of some kind here. Or you could use brown or green or, you know, you're going to put a scene in here. I'm not. But you can make a bit of a scene. You can make an almost scene for the almost kids. But let's take some, let's make up a shadow. We don't have a shadow here. You know, this is pathetic in terms of shadows. But we need a shadow. So, oh dear, the shoe's bleeding into the shadow. Oh no. So here, just leave that kind of like this, because he's stepping up, so one foot's up in the air. We'll just exaggerate that a little bit so that really shows up. Well, that brown bleeding into that shadow is really nice. He's got a hat on. That shadow should be bigger there. Okay. There we go. Okay, so before we come to a stopping point for to dry, I'll just, you know, they've been to the stockyards. This is a story. They have been to the stockyards and they're stomping around in the mud, in the gunk, and the, you know, all that stuff. Because, you know, that's the way stockyards are. Or maybe they're out there checking out the herd, you know. Okay. That's my version of background. You know, they have a nice little fence there, something green. Okay, so that's step one. We're going to have a second. We really need for me to get the vertical stripes in here. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just making up stripes here. I can't tell looking at that. And we don't need it there. The thing is that a little bit of pattern, particularly when you're working with an almost human, a little pattern can really do a lot for it, because you're really not putting much of anything into the faces on little items like this. So, but you can get away with putting some pattern on the clothing, and it really has a good look. Okay, step one, we'll do some more after this is dry. Okay, now for some finishing touches. I should have called these almost children. What did I call these? Oh, I haven't called them anything yet. Yes. This is one video for the whole thing. So we're going to go back. My paint is dried here. There. So that's the same mixture that I was just using. Let's put some creases and shadows in. And because this was already kind of a dulled down blue, I really didn't have to dull it down anymore for the shadow. It seems to be working. You know, a lot of this, you've got to make a judgment call sometimes. So, let's say that okay, here, just come to a stopping point. Let's break up a couple of little edges here. Oh, where? Well, let's break one there. Maybe here. Maybe a spot right there. Not much. Because really, having these strong shadows really kind of make these little things work. And a lot of your almost people could be done with just 2 steps. You know, one basic thing with the colors, and then, oh, it's hard to talk and do this. One basic thing with the colors, and then, let's see, that needs more shadows on it. You know, there's a shadow right there. Okay, like I was saying, one basic color and then a shadow on it when it's dry, and not a lot of blending. If you do a lot of blending on these, they lose their impact. You really want, you know, just a few softened edges. Make sure your shadows aren't so dark that they don't look like they belong. But past that, let's see. So up here, there's more shadow right here. Oh, I forgot. We've got to do more on his shirt before we put shadows. So here's the shadow side, because he lost his collar thanks to me. And there's a little shadow right there under that if you wanted to. Yeah. So, here. I just love this where he's stepping up. You know, you have this nice shape here. And you notice that the brown in the it's all showing up. Yeah, the brown in the shoe is merging into the shadow. Up here, the brown is merging up into the shirt here and here. You want some of those merges. You don't want to keep it too clean or too perfect again, because that loses. There's a shadow here under the knee, especially, you know, when the knee's bent, you get a shadow under it, right? Okay. And here it's between the legs, so it's shadowed by the other leg. And then we'll just, again, and see, there's not much water on the brush. You could just barely touch this with a tiny bit of, or even a partially dried brush. I could dry the tip of the brush and it would do it, because these places are so tiny. I don't want to run out of my mixture here before I finish. And I don't know what that is on his pants right there. There's, it almost looks like he's got some kind of insignia or some kind of cowboy paraphernalia that I don't know what it is. I'm not cow person. Can't think of the right word for it. Anyway, I'm not experienced with this. Okay. So there we go. Now let's go to the hat. I've got my leftover gray here. And I could probably just use the same gray, just like I used the same blue on the pants and stuff. Let's see. Let's just add a little more shadow to a couple of places. Even though, really in this photo, it's very hard to see anything. But if you really study it, you can find some places. Here. And definitely that little tip there in the hat. There's a little shadow there. And then this has shadow. Teeny spot here. Oh, I didn't put the little band around on the hats yet either. You know, this is almost something where you spend more time on the clothes than you do on the person. And it works, because that's really what we can see at a distance. So I need to do these stripes on the shirts so that, because I need to get that dry before I finish up. See, I'm just going across this time. And it's real pale. But a few spots, you know, as I'm stroking across here, not all the stripe even shows. And that's probably a good thing. See, but you see enough of it that you sense, you know, plaid. And then this other mixture. Oh, this was it. Over here, that kind of pinky purple. So same thing here. If I'm working a little too dark, I might blot. That's another strategy. Did you think that anyone that's just viewing this in a scene is going to notice that his collar's missing on the other side? Shoot, no. No way. Oh, Let's get all this color up here. Okay, so, well, let's play with the belt buckles. Let's just, you know, if we're going to add detail, don't do it in the face. It's really hard to get decent detail in faces. Of course, here, there's not much anyway, but we'll put a little decorative something there just because I'm fiddling. There, okay. So we still need some shadow on the face. There, I used some of this. I think that was what I used for skin. And I could just put a little deeper shadow right there on one side. If I want to put a mouth in, I'll just put a little shadow there. I hope that dries duller than that, because that lip looks a little overdone. Here, there, and there might be a little shadow under there. There. So the hands, same thing. I'm making half of this up by the fact that the sun's coming from this way, because it's really, like I said, this is it's a cute picture, but it's very, very flat in terms of highlight and shadow. It looks like it's a cloudy day. And those are always different to paint. Okay, so I've got to come back and do a couple more things. What do I want to do here? I think I'll take a little bit of my grayish mixture, and I think I will deepen these shadows right here. Right there. You know, maybe I'll put a little brown in them, because I like that flow from the shoe. Well, wait a minute. The bottom of that shoe is showing. Let's curve it right there. I think I like those shadows better gray. Well, I can take a little of it up and it'll do better. I think I'm going to have to reshape that. Although, remember, we don't have to. Mel Stabin definitely doesn't, you know, go back and tweak and fix and tweak and fix. That's dry enough. See, I could even add a little more here. Because here's the problem. I'm starting to have fun. Be careful about having fun. You can overwork things a little bit. But, yeah, you know what? That could stand to be a little darker there. Let's give it a couple little more bites of dark on top of what we already had. So now it's... I love that wrinkle going that way because it shows it, emphasizes that bend in his leg with those pants that are just too... they're stiff too. The pants are stiff and they're too big, which makes it that much cuter. Okay. I'll let that dry just a bit. I'll come back and do a couple things and that's it. Have I let some of this slip off camera? I'm afraid I may have. Sorry about that. I didn't have them high enough up. Okay. Maybe a little bit of brown here under this shoe. Shoe, it's a boot. There. And, oh, well, I've got the brown out. This is pretty strong for a number. Let's put this band on the hat. That really adds something to the hat. Keeping that belt a little. Yeah, like that. What else does it need? Oh, a little bit of shadow on the shirts. So, and this one's already got a little bit of shadow. Oh, that's too dark. See, that won't read right. So what I'm going to do, rather than changing my mix, is I'm just going to suck some of it back up in a second. So rather than having a line that separates his arm from his body, what I've got here is a little shadow that comes out onto his clothing. So we didn't just make a straight line there, which, yeah, that's kind of a bad move when you do that. I try to avoid that even when it's actually really there. Let's see, I need to change colors now to the other shirt color. And there's quite a shadow here. And let's put a little shadow here under that elbow. Little elbows making big shadows. Let's put a shadow, collar shadow, even though I don't see one, because I just need a little more shadow area. Okay. I didn't get that shirt bloused out there. You know, it's the fact that the shirts are, again, too big and they're puffed out when they come up to the belt there. See, now I'm sucking color up. Might soften an edge. Don't soften too many, though, remember. Lighten it first and see if you think you need to soften it. Maybe I'll soften a tiny spot there. Tiny spot. There. That's enough. Okay, I'm calling that done. I hope enough of it was on camera for you. I forgot to hold them up. Okay, there we go. There they are. See, and you could put a scene in there with them. I don't know. Or you can just have them walking on mud. They look like they've been in a pig pen, don't they? Oh, like they're in a pig pen. Now, they're clean, though.